it's the perfect distraction from the policy itself. So Gary Lineker has inadvertently done the government a massive favour. It means that people are talking about his tweet rather than examining a policy which has got so many holes in it. It's like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, and clearly indications that Labour thinks that there are challenges that it can launch as this legislation goes through. But in terms of the comment and the whole issue of free speech and whether sports presenters are able to actually comment on political matters, where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, I don't think that Gary Lineker should either be suspended or fired. I don't think it's that kind of offence.
Yeah.
What I do think, though, is that he should reflect on what he's actually doing. Now, there is the issue, obviously, of free speech. Is Gary Lineker able to speak as freely as other people? The answer is probably no, that free speech carries with it responsibilities, which Gary Lineker has taken on. He's the face of BBC Sport. So when he talks about the small boat policy being cruel and hitting vulnerable people, that strikes me as fair comment. Suddenly going too far by talking about an equivalence with the language used in Nazi Germany, that's where the controversy comes in. Now, if you are doing the job that he's doing, if you've got 8 million followers, so you're a social media influencer, he's got to decide which he most wants to be. Does he want to be have the freedom to comment on political issues, or does he want to be a sports commentator? He can't really have it both ways.
Yeah, and interesting that Roger Mosey, of course, who was a former head or director of sport, indicating that impartiality is the best approach, although he's got some sympathy with Lineker. But to look at the detail, I mean, it's clearly the issue of trying to draw that parallel with 1930s Germany that has angered many in the government, and with Lucy Fraser, the culture secretary, coming to the Commons and saying, look, my grandmother escaped Nazi Germany in the 1930s. These comments are inappropriate. And as you say, if there's responsibility that goes with free speech, you have to get it right. And many historians would say, well, actually, this is not a parallel with 1930s Nazi Germany.
And clearly it's not. And that's why he's gone too far. And I mean, a number of Jewish groups have also spoken out against what Gary Lineker has said. And I think they're quite right. I mean, there is no equivalence with this. We're talking about 1930s Germany, which was the lead up to the Holocaust, a mass genocide. That is not what the small boat policy is about. So what we should be doing is concentrating on the policy, whether it works, whether it is right, rather than Gary Lineker going off with a tweet which takes all the emphasis off that. It's the policy we should be scrutinising rather more than Gary Lineker.
Yeah. Just last thought then, Nigel. If he is made to fall on his sword, could that actually be damaging for the government in that he becomes a victim, if you like?
Yes, I think it would do, because what then happens is you really do have the free speech argument. And so this is why I think it's a matter for Gary Lineker to decide for himself what he wants to be. Suddenly we'll be in a whole different area if we see the BBC actually gagging a sports presenter whose contract does not allow him to be gagged. So the best route for the BBC is a quiet word with Gary Lineker, and Gary Lineker to have a think about it.